Welcome. Robotic Scheduler is a flexible tool for capacity scheduling in many different industries. In this short video here I will show specifically an example of how to solve the planning challenge in a plastic injection molding company where the challenge very often is that you need both the machine to be available, you need the setup personnel, the operator and molds to be available all at the same time. So what I've done here is that I have a small model of a production with 3 different injection machines. I have a group with setup personnel, and in that group I have 3 different named persons. And what you see here on the setup personnel is the gray area is a closed shift calendar, and the white is where you actually are, where you actually can do work. So this models a normal one shift calendar, and then in addition the additional absence of these personnel has been modeled. So in this case Jack has called in sick, and I know he will be sick also tomorrow. And then some of the other persons have a day off next week, which is also a part of the model. But all this is aggregated to the group level. So when I plan or reschedule on the group level, then it takes all these different exceptions into consideration. Then I have an operator group. In this case I have not modeled named operators, so I have just created a group with a default assignment of 2 operators. Then I have my molds, and then I have a mold A1 to produce product 10010 and so forth. So I have 3 different molds in this case, and in addition I have also modeled some mother tools which we can book on the routes. So this is one set of master data I need, the equipment or the resources. Then I need routings, and I go to my route editor, and I've modeled 3 different routes. One for the item 10010, which is to produce some PC plastic clear type, and down on the actual route here I have an operation booking the actual machine. This is the primary operation. Then I have some secondary operations. I'm booking the tool, and I need mold A01 for this particular item number, and I'm booking setup personnel just on the group level. I'm booking an operator, and in addition here I'm also booking a mother tool. And then on the primary operation, this is where I specify setup time of 3 hours in this case, and I'm also modeling a runtime of 400 pieces per hour in this case. And in addition there are a lot of other fields that you can set on the operations, like cavity or a lot of other stuff that we also support. So I've created these 3 different items here. You can see the setup time and the runtime is different for each of these routings. Also worth mentioning here is that in this case I've modeled my entire route as a master data inside scheduler, but it is of course also possible to import this from an ESP system. The whole route, master route, could be something we import, could also just be partly. So say you have the machine operation in the ERP system, then the additional sub-operations is something that we can add or enrich the route with when we import from the ERP system. But okay, we have enough for actually planning a production now, and I will start importing some production orders, and I will switch to my Excel sheet here, because in this case I have my orders in Excel. They could just as well be located in your ERP system, and then we will just import from there. But in this case I have one production order 1030. I have a route or an item this order produces, number of items to produce, the customer, some text description that is also assigned to the order when I import, a delivery date, and an earliest start time of this order. Initially I'll just import one production order, so we will enter a blank line here and import this to the robotic scheduler. And the order has now been imported, and you'll see that it books the injection machine up here. The shading here in the first part of the operation is the setup time, and notice also that we book setup personnel during that period of time. Then during the actual runtime we book operators, and during the full period of the operation we book the mold, and we also book down here the mother tool. Notice that if I start moving this order manually, then everything, all the different resource bookings are moving along here with the primary operation. Also notice down here on the setup personnel that if I place my operation so that I have my setup on the first shift, the setup time is short, but if I move it further ahead into the second night shift, then my setup time will extend, and that will of course affect my total booking of the machine and operators and forms depending on that duration. I've also mentioned that if I want to change to an alternative machine up here, then I will look here what I have of alternatives, and notice that my first alternative, my priority 1, is the machine 1. Priority 1 is shown as in parentheses here. My second priority machine when I run this form is machine 3, and machine 2 is not able to run with this mold that I'm using down here, so it's not even an alternative, but then you can switch it to a different machine. But it's just important that you know that scheduler knows about the configuration where a certain mold can run. I will just undo this again, and finally you can schedule manually, and you can also click a reschedule button. In this case, my reschedule button will do a forward schedule from now, so we start up early as possible. But let's bring some more production orders into the system. So I'll switch again to my Excel sheet and remove the blank line here and import all this to the scheduler again. So now we have all the different orders, and let me just change the color mode to order coloring. So I select this color mode. Then each order has its own color. 1030. I have another one here. Notice how we book all the different equipment for these different orders. Very often you will hide some of the details now, so I will click away initially here the mold information, because the system already knows about these and takes this into consideration. Then also notice that my rescheduling here, what happened, I have a limitation of setup personnel. So if we look here on my current time now, we only have 2 operators available, or 2 setup personnel available. So I only schedule 2 setups, meaning that my third order 1032 here is delayed, and the setup is only started when I have time. And of course also means that I'm now my setup cannot complete today. We have to continue also tomorrow. Also, I would like to mention here that if we look, the setup personnel group here is actually a button also, and I can click that, and I can see the jobs only for the setup personnel. So I can see how many setups I have per day, and if the workload graph here at the bottom shows me the bottom figure here, 16, is the number of hours available in the setup group, setup personnel group on that particular day. So I can see here that Friday we actually have 3 people available, 24 hours, and the other days it's only 16 hours I have available. So I can see here what is the load actually on a certain group of resources. But very often I would now switch to just the injection machine view, and that I am changing down here at the bottom. So I'm basically just concentrating on my machines, and the system will keep track of all the other bookings. All right, but I'm just before I'm releasing this to production, last thing I want to check is if I have all my raw material. I will click on my raw material tab down here at the bottom, and when I'm clicking on this, it'll show me all the different granules, raw materials that I have, and you can see here the inventory levels of each of these, and I can see that actually this raw material right here, I will be short of that when we reach Friday. I get a negative inventory, and then I have a replenishment here. I can also see that on the graph. If I color by material shortage, then everything green here is an operation that has all the needed raw materials, and this is of course because we import the bill of material and assign that to each of these orders and operations. But I have a problem here on the red one, 1035, so it means that I can see down here that I actually need to move that to Tuesday before I have enough material. Initially it turns yellow here. This is because if I look at this replenishment that happens down here, if I look at the purchase transaction for this happening on the 17th of May, which is something that we import from the ERP system. Right now it's just confirmed that we will receive this, but physically the item is not in our stock. So once we mark that as received and we import this from ERP, it will now also turn green here. So we actually have a schedule here which we can start executing, and I will switch to a new color mode here called Operation Status, and I will release the first coming orders. So I switch the status of these, and they now turn blue, saying that they have a start possible status now. In my production, we would now start to execute my schedule here, work on these orders. If operators now are reporting start, partial completions and actual completions, if they report this in the ERP system, we can import those progress information transactions from the ERP system. Otherwise, in this case, I will use the Robotic Scheduler shop floor module. So I'm logging in, and here this is a web page where I see for injection machine 1, I see all the different operations that are planned for this particular machine. Down here I have machine 2, etc. So in this case I want to start the first operation here on my machines. I click, and we change the status to start, and also here I can enter how many pieces we have produced at this point in time. So we save that information. You'll see here on the shop floor Gantt chart that the operation has been started. If I switch back, looking at the main scheduling screen here, I'm also seeing that my operation has been started. I can see what is the actual progress. This is a percentage shaded, and I also see a new recalculation of the expected end time. And in this case, I'm actually ahead, so we will start to get some space right here. So it means that this is a closed loop scheduling, so we will have the status fed back directly into the schedule without having the need to ask and check in the ERP how are we and so on. So this happens automatically. And finally, so if I wanted to, I could now reschedule again on my button here, and it will actually try to reschedule according to my new progress. Of course, still obeying all the rules about that we need this and this setup operator, we need this and this mode. Thank you for watching.